Well, good morning. First of all, thank you, Fernanda, for inviting me to come to Barcelona. Thank you, Mercer, for hosting me in a so prestigious event. And thank you all for giving a chance to talk and say something about our work. That's why Fernanda invited me to bring. I'm going to screen now a documentary on 20 minutes. It's quite boring, okay? It's quite boring, not so. And then, why this documentary? We did this documentary is because last year we did 20 years of sustainable, social and environmental sustainable practice at Osklen and at the E-Institute we founded some years ago, together with the UNESCO, international UNESCO headquarters. It's about our vision, concepts, practice, and numbers that we have during this period. And I think it's interesting to share and to see and why we are here to present you for tonight. So please. I begin with the human being. His relationship with what surrounds us, with the environment. When the spirit and the mind express it through a layer over the body. My work is to interpret and create these layers. A human body in balance with the city, the metropolis, and nature. This is what I think Brazil can really bring to the world, the energy of our people and our natural resources. Preserving this wealth is the responsibility we have been given. It's a choice between further exploitation or preservation.
We realize we must do that for the ocean.
That the world we want. A nossa sustentabilidade está em nossas próprias mãos.
We are talking about innovation.
O desenvolvimento sustentável. E a gente discuta muito mais do que é possível fazer.
Represent the people from Rio, the people from Brazil, and people from the world.
I consider Osklen my communication platform. It is the integrated perception of nature, culture, and society, associated with a sophisticated aesthetic. It's where I express values such as the pursuit of sustainable development and the concept of the new luxury. The new luxury represents a lifestyle compatible with sustainability values. It's a way of being that is the contrary of exhibitionism. The new luxury consists of assigning sophisticated design to sustainable materials, bringing together the aesthetics with ethics, which is the sophistication of sustainable material. The fabrics have the intention of communicating and representing these values. It's made by materials whose origin and production process respect a fair trade criteria and sustainable development.
Recycled cotton comes from the reuse of textile waste, fabrics and knits that would be discarded by the industry. The recycling process, which eliminates dyeing and reduces water consumption. The water used in the dyeing processes returns to the rivers free of chemicals and with the appropriate pH. The use of this material promotes upcycling, helps to clean the planet, and to generate jobs. Fabrics made from recycled cotton are an industry alternative to avoid environmental pollution. Pirarucu is Brazil's largest freshwater fish. It's a fish destined basically for food. Its skin is often dismissed as junk. Its leather has a greater resistance than bovine leather, although it's thinner and softer. The capture of pirarucu is done consciously and not predatory, with respect to environmental laws and breeding periods of species. It contributes to the formation of associations of small colonies of fishermen, stimulating the generation of jobs and allowing a 30% increase in the income obtained by these small producers.
Nosso trabalho é assim, eu venho com os conceitos, experiências, penso às vezes em textura, em cores, em formas, uma experiência emocional que eu tive, ou uma viagem, elementos que eu vou trazendo.
Isso aqui é o começo. Tem um começo que a equipe ainda está na outra coleção e eu e o Oskar já estamos aqui. E, na verdade, a gente usa o caderno. Eu acho que o caderno é muito mais um espaço para sensibilidade. Assim, é o que a palavra, o que não cabe na palavra está aqui, né?
Então já é uma troca real estética entre nós, onde compartilha, sabe, formas, elementos, vê cores, texturas. E a partir disso, quando entra no consenso, né, Ju, parte para a definição do que é a coleção e da construção dela. E essas trocas vão acontecendo durante o processo, depois do desenho ainda, da Juliana, ao processo de desenvolvimento com o restante da equipe de design de moda. Começa a haver uma troca e uma construção dos elementos com uma direção de estilo minha, de conceito, estilo e direção de arte, mas uma direção de design de moda, de linguagem de moda da Juliana. E esse encontro nosso, esse trabalho nosso, ele cria uma bela poesia.
The fiber of natural silk is a continuous threading of a protein produced by the caterpillar of certain kinds of moths. Unlike its industrial production, the artisan growth of cocoons is made in plantations where there's no use of agrotoxics. And natural pigments from the Brazilian biodiversity are used. The different color shades make the product become a unique piece, exclusive and non-reproductive. Regaining the artisan techniques, where the threading is made in natural forms, the process of making income to the communitary groups is much easier, making it suitable to the parameters of social responsibility and environmental respect.
Aqui meu ateliê tem uma mistura do meu trabalho de arte, meu trabalho de design e meu trabalho ligado às questões sustentáveis ambientais. Uma coisa puxa a outra. Meu gestual como artista, eles são a síntese de um conceito ou de uma experiência. Você vê que eu não trabalho assim diretamente com a moda. Aqui são os conceitos, as experiências, os meus gestos como arte, minha sensibilidade. Daqui que sai conceito, em alguns elementos para as próximas coleções. Mergulhando não é uma questão, óbvio, somente estética. Afinal, moda são formas, são texturas. Estou mergulhando nos conceitos de desenvolvimento sustentável. Eu estou sendo convidado a participar de várias conferências mundiais sobre o assunto. E eu estou vivendo isso. Acho que cada coleção é o que eu estou vivendo naquele momento.
Recycled polyester fiber from PET packaging is an ecological product because it means the removal from the environment of a material that is difficult to decompose, which are responsible for 30% of the solid waste collected in Brazilian municipalities. Over 400,000 rag pickers are involved in the collection and selection of recyclable materials. The combination of these polyester fibers with cotton fibers enables the creation of a knitted fabric that has just the same resistance, durability, and colors as products made with conventional polyester.
Na hora que a gente começou a desenhar e a pensar como usar, né, seguir, né, o as sustainable as possible, surgiu uma quantidade enorme de matérias-primas e aí a gente inverteu um pouco o processo que a gente sempre faz, que é desenhar uma coleção e depois, né, em busca daquele tecido que a gente imaginou, do shape que a gente planejou, inspirou. O que acabou acontecendo foi uma inversão desse processo. Os materiais inspiraram a gente, a montagem, a criação, o próprio desenho, né? O desenho de cada look veio a partir de uma matéria-prima e das suas limitações. Então, aquilo que poderia ser uma limitação vira uma inspiração.
O tingimento também tem um aspecto super interessante, que ele não fica completamente uniforme, né? Então cada produto é único.
Isso se reflete no produto, eu acho, quando você fala em design e o uso desses materiais, porque eu acho que você passa a criar um respeito maior também por esse tipo de matéria-prima. Então, o design acaba ficando mais puro, né? Você tenta interferir menos, valorizar a matéria-prima. Então, a gente transformou em peças especiais, em quantidades limitadas.
É um processo de aprendizado mesmo, assim, em todos os sentidos, de trabalhar com o produto e entender o quanto a gente pode usar aquele produto dentro da coleção.
A gente usa justamente, por exemplo, essa cor. A gente não pediu essa cor, né? Essa cor aconteceu. Então, a partir disso, a gente pensa que cabedal faz sentido para essa cor.
We have developed a shoe soldering containing rubber trimmings and residues of rice, straw, and cork that would be discarded. The use of these materials encourages the reuse and correct disposal of waste and avoids soil degradation, reducing its impact in nature. It doesn't just help preserving the environment, but also promotes a source of income for the workers involved in the process.
Se você juntar, empoderar grupos comunitários e, ao mesmo tempo, valorizar os materiais produzidos na floresta, você conseguiria promover o desenvolvimento humano sustentável. Nós fomos procurando esses grupos e, ao mesmo tempo, pesquisando também os materiais que eles trabalhavam. E nosso propósito nunca foi chegar em alguma comunidade com uma receita de bolo e, de uma certa maneira, vamos dizer, violar os saberes tradicionais. Muito pelo contrário, nós sempre tivemos uma atitude de respeito. Mas, ao mesmo tempo, nós entendíamos que a questão do design era fundamental para ele ganhar em escala, fazer com que, por exemplo, gere cada vez mais renda e, consequentemente, empoderamento para essas comunidades. A Osklen é muito aberta a propostas inovadoras, então a gente diz que a Osklen é o nosso laboratório de inovação. A moda feita no modelo linear leva ao esgotamento de recursos naturais, muitas vezes exploração injusta da mão de obra. Só faz sentido hoje em dia você desenvolver uma moda com propósito, uma moda com, vamos dizer, com um aspecto mais humanista e ao mesmo tempo solidário com o planeta. Quando a gente promove o uso de materiais sustentáveis feito por uma mão de obra comunitária, é da maior importância.
Eu acredito que cada vez mais a moda tem que estar a serviço das grandes causas. A moda ela é uma expressão cultural de um momento. Se nós olharmos como as pessoas se vestiam há um tempo atrás, nós vamos ver como as pessoas viviam. Quando você veste uma roupa da Osklen, você está vestindo a ideia que existe comprometida com uma cadeia de sustentabilidade, com as comunidades que produzem aquele algodão, com o impacto que isso causa para quem fabrica a roupa que você veste. Então, o Instituto E, ele nasceu para materializar o compromisso da Osklen e dar concretude a essa preocupação.
Tem feminino, tem umas peças, tem coletão, até para fazer uma posição embaixo.
20 years ago, we launched our first organic cotton t-shirts. Now Osklen consolidates itself as the largest sustainable development laboratory in Brazilian fashion industry. Our collections are reinforcing to the market and society not only our pioneering with the question of sustainability, but also to renewing our commitment through these 20 years as a reference of conscious and innovative practice in the fashion segment, national and internationally. Since 2002, the production of e-fabric by Osklen has risen from 1,000 pieces to almost 137,000 pieces by 2015. The raw materials are really the protagonists, and my design team had as a starting point sustainable material that give rise to diverse e-fabrics. The shapes, silhouettes, colors, textures, and trim of our fashion shows are the result of a meticulous, organic, and innovative work. And the result is a perfect balance between the technological and the artisanal. The world is changing. Soon it will be irrelevant where you are from. There will be no more geographical nations. Instead, there will be lifestyle nations. People around the world will connect based on ideas and attitudes that represent its values. I want to be a part of a sustainable lifestyle nation, and I want to make sure that in my generation we did it. What we are doing now is a call for the urgency of adopting more sustainable practices and attitudes, bringing to everyone the concept that has always guided us, ASAP, as sustainable as possible, as soon as possible. It's a paradigm shift. It's an invitation to the world and to Brazil. Act now for a better present and a better future. Let's leave a better world to the next generations. Then we had the chance to show those 4 different materials we have used, but we are actually working with 27, and we tried in the last 20 years more than 100 projects. What's interesting about is not that we use those materials, that most of them we have developed from zero. In communities inside the Amazon, in the slums and favelas, in poor communities in Brazil, in Haiti also. And that's, yeah, you told me that my name is Estonian name, Metsavaht. Metsavaht means forest garden. It's interesting. And Estonia is the country in Europe that has the largest amount of millennial forests preserved. Estonia is there. Cool. And you see, so my forest garden, my ancestors give Estonia this very interesting thing that they have the millennial forest preserved till now. Besides the other countries around, they don't have any forests anymore. They became wood industry. We became nature producers in Estonia. And yes, my grandparents did come to live in Brazil. By chance, I don't know, is where we have the largest forest in the world. And in my city, Rio de Janeiro, is the largest urban forest in the world also. So maybe, yes, my education, my cultural education is on preservation, is on that. So how did it happen, all those things? And I'm a UNESCO ambassador for environmental and culture of peace, both things we need in Brazil. And I think that happened in Rio de Janeiro, 1992. It was the first and most important conference till now that happened from the UN. And it's something interesting because look how close we are about sustainability, why we are living a transition moment now, and why I think ASAP, as sustainable as possible, as soon as possible. It's not about being 100%. When we talk about 100%, we are being naive, ingenuine, and not productive. It's the first time that the world, global society, talk about preservation was just in 1952 in a UN conference. We began to think about nature preservancy. And from that, well, we have in the 60s the hippie movement talking about preservation, take care of nature. Then we had the WWF that taught us to love nature. And then we have the Greenpeace that taught us that we have the right to defend, to fight against. But I remember, I think most of you, of course, of all of us, we have the proposition of preserving nature. But I remember that it was so romantic and naive, the thinking, or utopic, the thinking of preservation versus economic development. Of course, it wouldn't happen. But in 1992, Maurice Strong, that became one of my tutors after that, and he came, and some other researchers, he came with the concept of sustainable development. And in 1998, the Kyoto Protocol was never signed, like the Paris one wasn't signed by so many countries. And with that, I could understand another thing. It was a very interesting, smart thing, is that, yes, you can do economics, you can bring profits, you can use natural reserves to do profits. You can use our natural reserves, our forests, our oceans, etc., to make economic development. If you keep it as the same way you find now, or better, for the next generations. It's so simple thinking, now obvious maybe talking around now, but before that it wasn't. So it was in the 90s that this come to mind. And I had a chance because maybe I was in Rio de Janeiro at the time, or because I always looking to, of course, I'm a surfer, I like snowboarder, I like to dive and fish fishing, so I'm involved always on sports, on a lifestyle related to nature, of course. So we are very close to that. You want to change, you want to help. So, but I think it would be so naive and romantic trying to preserve, but when I could understand that, come on, yes, economics. And I could envision in 1998 what we are going now, it's coming now. It's that we would get into a new economy, the green economy, how we call. And it was interesting, we were moving from a new millennium, the aquarium era, green sustainability, these thinkings. So I could envision, I could be sure that this was going to happen. I knew I would be in a place like here, so prestigious place, and to speak about it. But I knew I had to build it. And what I had in my hands, well, I'm a physician, I'm a doctor, I'm an artist, physician doctor. I became on the fashion by a coincidence. By the end of the 80s, I went to an expedition to the Andes as a physician, and I was responsible for clothing. And of course, in Brazil, we didn't have technical clothing for high altitude aspect. So I have to develop it. I use my knowledge in biophysics and ergonomy, anatomy as a physician, and maybe my aesthetics as being an artist. And I created that and become known, and then it happened, the brand. So, but I'm considered an artist with an education on science. And the brand grew up. And so what I had in that time, well, I said, how I can be a global citizen that I want to help the world, but to be involved in that, I had my brand, that fashion, it was my platform to use that. So in that time, I began to read about biodiversity, the Biodiversity Convention. It's a great document we should all know. The other one is the Earth Charter. Another one is the Agenda for the 21st Century. It's incredible that us, as individuals, we never had read, or some people listen about the Agenda for the 21st Century. Because it's a contemporary guide, what was written by thinkers, philosophers from around the world that did bring. It's a document for us, global society, in the new millennium, in the new century, with all those values that we all believe now, and we are sharing commonly, everybody, on sustainability, on sharing economically to the other communities, to the other social and economical classes, developing a more fair world. And it's very inspiring. And for a creative one, when you read those documents, they are so, I'm talking about what I was thinking 20 years ago. It was so inspiring for me, so inspiring, and giving me much more confidence that I was going to the right place. Because I was doing something that I believe in, something I wanted to do, something I wanted to leave as a legacy, as a creative person in this life. And I could see that would be economically viable in decades. I still believe I'm a very romantic one. I think I like to say that I'm very glad of living this generation of our civilization. If we see, we are coming from 200 years of industrialization. And we are now, with an old style I would say, and now we are entering to another one. We are living a huge transition, of course, in civilization, the digital era, the genetics and biotechnology for us, living more changing, getting better quality of life, etc. And sustainability, yes, the life of the planet. I like to say that because I'd like to share you because I think we are a generation that has a great opportunity to work for the transition of this civilization we are having. Of course, we are living a new Renaissance movement when science, art, and philosophy together are changing. It's just to think about what's going on, we are living that. And us creators, our directors, artists, and together with the knowledge on new technology and science, etc., yes, we can be one of the angels of the planet. If we see, that's why I'm an optimist, because if we see the line of civilization, the planet almost died sometimes. When the meteor hit the Earth, the glacial eras, the plagues that we have through, the world wars, the atomic bomb, and now our planet, yes, is dying because we are consuming so much. Because, of course, this American Dream project for the last 50 years that tell us to consume much by less. We are the worldwide, we consume like that. The luxury from Europe that bring us the status of to reach more and more products and etc. China developing huge amount of industry to bring what we want. We want now. We want to consume. We still want to consume. I think this audience and us, we are all very educated, intellectual, and noble persons to understand that we have to have to the next generation a much better world. Even us, we haven't moved so much on sustainability. Think about when we wake up in the morning, what we have done in really change for a sustainable way of life. But we love to point or hang flags. Oh, let's save the world, let's talk, etc. And we point companies, we point institutions, we point governments. What I could see, I remember 20 years ago, I used to say, oh, those companies are not doing, etc. We are doing something, etc., etc. But what I can say now, on the last 6 months, on my speech, when I'm invited, I could observe and say that companies, industries, has changed on the last 20 years much more than us as individuals. And much more than NGOs and things like that. We have too much people saying no, 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 instead of saying yes, come in. Why I came with this concept on as up as sustainable as possible? Because by the end of the 90s, when I began trying to do, I said, well, I have fashion. Fashion is a platform. I have 2 ways to be involved on that. Fashion is one of the great protagonists on the cultural change, like cinema, like literature, like press, like, campaigns, like many things. Because fashion is not about clothing. Fashion, in the Latin, é moda e comportamento. Moda comes from modus e comportamentos. It's about social behavior. So on fashion, yes, of course, we have to understand understand the zeitgeist, understand and promote some changes. Fashion is to provoke, fashion is to bring something new. And in fashion, what we try to do is say, no, this is the new cool. Yes, that's what we are paid for, to bring that. So through the fashion language, for example, like T-shirts. T-shirts are not, I don't consider it clothing. T-shirts I consider something like a manifesto, an individual manifesto. You don't wear anything in front of you in your chest if you don't believe. Or you're being so dumb, wearing what the other want you to wear. So I love T-shirts because there I can write my manifestos, my ideas, my expressions. And of course, if I was reading that time about, as I told, Earth Charter, the value of the Church Charter, Earth Charter, and Agenda 21st, things like that, Kyoto Protocol at that time, I used it to bring awareness on it. Because if the youngers, if they come, people come to my brand or some other brands to choose some t-shirt, for example, to wear, you want to wear something that we can have. I can have many. I can have surfer here, or rock band, or a school, anything it's gonna sell. But when you use your t-shirts to write something, and people, if they involve, they like the concept of the brand, something like that, they will be wearing and expressing it. And everybody wants to speak about what is writing on. You want it. And when you begin to talk, if you see something here, Agenda 21st, some friend of yours is going to ask, what is this? Then you explain, so the word gets through. Of course, it was, if I would do that, only be as a fashion designer and a creative one, and trying to bring the thing about sustainability and social and environmental issues. Fashion is another vector that's interesting. Yes, we can develop our products in a sustainable way. And of course, didn't have so much things in that time. I think the first one, the pioneering on talking about it, was Patagonia, Yvon Chouinard from Patagonia. When he did bring the first time of thinking about sustainability on clothing. We are considered pioneers because we began doing this in the fashion. What means in the fashion is different than clothing. Fashion, I tried in that time, I remember the 90s, everybody who was talking about sustainability were considered boring people, granola style, things like that. I remember that I saw once a t-shirt called "Fuck the Whales," because everybody was full of, talking about I'm saving the world, things like that. It was born in the 90s. I don't know if you remember. So those projects on sustainability, to award sustainability, were becoming, society was against because they were born about. And I was looking around, I said, so many friends of mine working in the Amazon, working in the oceans, working, sociologists, biologists, engineers, educators, working on that. And I said, come on, they are not the boring ones. They are the coolest ones. If in fashion we want to be cool, I'm gonna take all those values, all those messages, and bring it through fashion in the coolest way that I can bring. And it become a movement, a cool movement on the sustainability. And from that, I could communicate to so many NGOs that did come projects on sustainable, beginning with some products, raw material, very raw materials, from artisans, from the forest, from the small startups on the industry, on fashion, on fabrics, things like that. And I really used that open, me and my team in Osklen, to help and to begin to develop some of those materials. Because I wanted to show that, come on, yes, we can transform, we can bring sustainability in the whole the supply chain, but didn't have those materials. That's why we are known, because we have pioneering. And why it's important to be pioneering or trying to go further to develop it. Because when you work on fashion, it's much easier to any designer to work with its standard materials from the industry. You just write to the industry and you ask the colors, samples, etc., etc. And you have it on in your mood board, and you have all of this. It's easy because those materials, they don't dye the color, they glue very well. It's easy to sew and things like that. Developing from scratch some materials, it's a huge project. It's a huge challenge. And challenge means what? I remember When I began doing that, I remember the Greenpeace saying about us that, come on, those guys, they just want to do money with sustainability. I remember that I think, come on, it's so stupid, this point of view. And nowadays, I'm a member of the Greenpeace board. You know how things change in the way. So we break some paradigms in that time. Another thing, some certifications would say no for us because we weren't 100%. It's so stupid that because what I could see, if I had stopped and listened about what they were saying, I would never have begun doing anything. Because us individuals and institutions, we say we have to be 100%. We forget that we are living a transition moment, that we have to say yes to any industry company, company that begins, even if it's 1% sustainable. If it's company, it's real transparent to say that 1% they are doing, and they are in the way of being 100%, maybe they're gonna grow just 1% to 2% that year. But remember that this 1% is 100% of a project inside Amazon, or a poor community, or a new startup. We have to remember that we have to support any company that has the mission and vision to be transformed in 20, 50 years to be 100% sustainable. So this is about what I'd like to share as sustainable as possible, as soon as possible. It's not about 100%, it's about beginning and doing. Thank you very much.